Hey Sagittarius, and welcome to your monthly reading for Sagittarius Sun or Rising sign. This is a Sagittarius Sun or Rising reading for the month of April 2023. It's a collective reading, so we'll get into that in a moment. Interesting, this is what's showing up. Let's see, which deck do we want to go with? I'm feeling like I want to switch it up for my Sagittarians. Yes. Okay, so we're gonna go with this one. Sorry, that took me a moment. We're gonna look at how your month is unfolding. Actually feeling this card here, this card here. Interesting. Okay. All right, Sag. I like it. I like it. No, I'm feeling this one here. Nope, not that one there. Nope. Yeah, well, yeah, that one. Okay. Ooh. Interesting how I was like, All right. So we'll take a look at the beginning, middle, and end of your month, Sag, how this is overall being colored. And then I want to also take a look at what is coming up for, where do I want to do for your spiritual advice and for your challenge card? So you know what? I'm feeling this one. This is the deck that always makes me giggle. So what is the challenge that's coming up for my Sag people? Sagittarius, Sun, or Rising? If you're gonna get a challenge card, why not have it be delivered through a bunny, right? I like it. I like it. Don't laugh. Or laugh. I hope you laugh. Let's all laugh here. So let's take a look at what your spiritual advice is that's coming through, Sag. Spiritual advice. Well. Okay. Very interesting. Interesting is what we have here. Sag. Okay, Sag. So because this is a collective reading, we are sticking with helping to direct where this reading is actually drawing your attention towards. Like, what is it drawing? What themes, what part of your life is this directing you to? And so that's why we're using this particular deck. And what we have showing up for you is Virgo. So really interesting, right? Like Virgo is there's a lot of healing inside of Virgo. You know, we can look at Virgo as being like the temple priestess and also the healer, the one who wants to bring their gifts to be of service to the world, right? And that there's some sense of like fulfillment and usefulness in bringing their gifts and bringing whatever kind of healing capacity that is to other people, just wanting to help and be with other people. This also could be about healing yourself as well, like your own physical health, but also healing in general in your personal world. You know, Virgo is ruled by Mercury, and so there is this mercurial aspect to this as well, you know, which I think can be very sharp as far as like the mind in terms of like specifics and details, and not sharp as in harsh, I don't mean that, I mean like, but very, very clear, clean. I need the specs, I need the details, you know, I need to know exactly, you know, what's going down here, what's going on here, right? You know, of everything. And that can get sometimes, like, you know, part of the shadow aspect of that is it can be really a little too harsh on themselves. Like Virgo, you know, the shadow side can be like that they're too demanding of themselves, they're too structured, too harsh, and they need to kind of like let go a little bit, right? So so that's what we have showing up for Virgo, like some really beautiful aspects to Virgo. And I think also there are some parts that can turn a little too hard on you. But the main thing that I got when I saw this for you, Sagittarius, was healing. So that's what I see coming forward is healing. Now let's get into these cards because I think there's an interesting mix. There's an interesting mix here of the cards that are showing up for you, Sagittarius, this month. So that probably doesn't bother anyone else but me, but guess what? It probably would to a Virgo. Interesting. So what we have at the beginning of the month is the Two of Cups. Sag. The Two of Cups is this soulmate card. And that can be romantic. It can mean romantic. It can mean also, you know, really, really close friendship. It could be a partnership, like you and someone that you work with, like maybe you guys run a business together or whatever it is, but this really close connection, really close partnership, you know. And this is about the connection and the fluidity and like the how free flowing and understanding, like how at ease that it is to be able to, like when you guys speak to each other, when like what you're thinking, what you're feeling feels like congruent, it feels easy to understand, like you speak the same language, you know. And so that's a really beautiful card. I think it's also a very healing card, like emotionally speaking, you know. And so perhaps for some of you, you might be going through healing a connection of this sort, and that's coming up in the beginning of April for you. Is like there's a healing of a friendship, or there's a healing between you and a business partner, or between you and a lover, perhaps. I don't know, right? So let's apply this like how it makes sense to apply it. Either way, there feels like there's this kind of renewal, there's this healing aspect to it. Or, you know, if this is romantic, this could be somebody coming into your world, maybe brand new, maybe not, that is that their presence feels healing for some reason, that it brings in some sense of healing here, right? And then we come into the middle of the month and it feels like a little bit of confusion, you know, like you're just kind of trying to decide what to do, trying to decide which way to go, which option to take, which path to take possibly. And it just feels like there's so many different options and possibilities. And definitely I could see that being something with like, you know, the Virgo energy, like I said, with the details and with the specifics and, you know, with that whole mercurial type of energy that comes through with that. And maybe feeling like you've just got so many different details, so many different specifics, so many different things you're considering that it can feel maybe confusing or overwhelming and not necessarily feeling super clear. But it can also be a very like daydreamy card where you're just kind of like daydreaming about, you know, in a good way, not in a confusing way, about like which options feel the best. You know, I don't know if you've ever done that, but I'm a daydreamer. And so I relate to this card in that way sometimes, where it's like, it's kind of beautiful to consider, to let your mind and your emotions kind of wander into these different imaginary worlds and to feel into like, which one of these feels like the adventure that I want? Which one of these feels the best? Especially that would be very much like a Sagittarian thing, right? It's like, which one of these feels like the adventure that I want to take, right? Like that definitely feels that way. So I think that there's some things to consider. There's some options. There's some things on the table that you're really like pensive about, that you're really being with, that you're feeling into, right? The cups, you're feeling into these options. And maybe you might feel confused or overwhelmed. Maybe you might feel inspired and you're just kind of like, I'm not really sure. Like, what do I do? What do I do about this that happened in the beginning of the month, right? How am I supposed to proceed with this? And we come into the end of the month and we have the Death card. And so some people might just be kind of considering like, how in the world did we get to the Death card from there? And does that mean it all goes bad? No. The Death card shows up to give us a contrast to what feels good in our life and what is no longer a fit and what needs to be released. So I think through the process of this month, you're going to get to the end of the month and there's a point of clarity that you're going to need to come to, or that you will be coming to, where you're just going to be noticing like, okay, what ideas, because this is not just about physical things or people, what ideas or beliefs or ways of thinking or being do I need to let go of that are like done, they should be done, buried, and gone. Like this no longer fits. This is not helping me. This is not moving me forward in my life. This is not going to help me unfold into my best life. But this can also be, you know, people, projects, what isn't aligned. And that's basically what it says. It's like you just need to allow for the things that need to die away, and whatever stays is what's true now. This is what is so now, and this is what truth is. Truth is what doesn't fall away. You know, who are you now and how are you aligned, and who are the people, or what are the projects, or what are the beliefs that get to stay in your life as a result. And I think it's a really powerful card. I think that it's definitely, you know, it can feel challenging. The death card, the reason why it can feel challenging is because, you know, we tend to grasp and hold on, right? We don't want to let go. We're afraid of the unknown, and afraid of losing what's familiar to us. That's a part of our survival mechanisms as human beings and the way that our brains process things, the way that we are, right? So there can be this like desire to hold on, and we need to just allow that to just go, right? Part of the challenge with this, I think, is that it's going to bring up some really challenging emotions. Like, I think that this, like, whatever this is, this healing thing that is happening in your life, this whatever is being brought to the surface here that has to do with another person, that has you like really considering things about like what you want to do, or where you want to go, and how to come into a place that is actually like right after this is like you get some more clarity, right? The interesting thing, let's go back to this one for just a moment, just a quick moment. You see in this card is not as prominent as in other cards, but knowing that it's there in other cards, what you can see here is that there is this, the dawning of a new day, the light, right, that shines like right behind death. And it's like, this is what comes after the death, after the letting go, after letting things to be like buried that need to die away. It actually brings a new dawn. It brings new space. It brings new open perspectives, a new place to be from. And so, you know, this is a process. And I think what's happening is that, you know, in the process, whatever is going to feel challenging and difficult about that is because it's touching on deeper fears. Like the moon in a challenge position is definitely pointing to the things that we sweep away into our psyche, like into the dark recesses of our mind. We sweep them under the rug. We're just like, I don't want to look at that. I don't want to face that. I don't want to pay attention to that. That doesn't exist. If I don't look at it, it doesn't exist. And the thing is, it's like, this is stirring up some fears. This is stirring, like whatever's going on is like stirring up some fears. It's stirring up some emotion. It's stirring up things that, you know, you haven't maybe been looking at, or that you thought you were done with. Maybe you thought you were done with certain lessons, and like here they are being stirred up and you're like, I thought I dealt with that already, and now it's showing a different side of itself. You know, and the thing about the moon too is that, you know, like here's the thing, is like we're, as human beings, we're naturally wired, you know, even though some people are like, I love the dark, I enjoy the dark, I love the shadows, right? That's not everybody. Most people, it's like in order to survive at nighttime when we were not out of the food chain and we were still in the food chain and living outside and, you know, or in caves or whatever it was, it's like the fear was like at night when the predators were out, when we couldn't see very clearly because we don't have that night vision that's strong, you know, when we couldn't see what was out there, like what was in the shadows. And, you know, all we can do is like feel, and we feel things, we hear things, you know, we have to be with it. Like we can't force the day to come faster. We have to be with the night until it becomes day, you know? And so there's this, like, there's instinct that kicks in, there's fear that kicks in, there's all of this stuff that feels kind of like confronting. And so I think that you're going to feel confronted by some of these things, and that it's going to stir up some of these themes inside of this. But this is meant to be a healing process for you this month, Sag. Like this is meant to heal you, and some of it might feel challenging and some of it might feel beautiful. Like this could be beautiful and not confusing, or it could be confusing, right? But like, and the death card could feel like, okay, yes, I'm ready to let go of these older things and allow the new version of things to come in, or the new self of mine to come in. And in order to do that, you need to deal with like the things that are difficult, right? So it's like, there's the both and, right? It can be all of these things. It's a really full process. Like healing is not so direct sometimes, right? And so the spiritual advice that you have showing up is the Four of Swords, right? Now, I just love this deck because I love anime and I love this deck, but this doesn't really portray the image of like what the Four of Swords meaning is. The Four of Swords, the spiritual advice that you're getting is like, hey, you need to take time to integrate and rest, to take care of your physical health, your mental health, your emotional health. Definitely your mental health. The swords are mental, not mental, you know what I mean? So, but you need to be able to like carve out space for your sanity. You know, you can't just go hard with like, yes, it's good to face things and like face them and go at them and have the courage to be with them and all the things. And you need to give yourself space inside, like pockets of space to pause, to integrate, to allow these things to be processed. And in order to do that, you have to rest, you know, not not run away into Netflix or distractions or doing chores while you think it's like that's resting. That's not resting. Like, this is where you be. Like, maybe I could say walking and being in nature, like that could be a way of processing and having some rest. But I mean, like, even just like literally laying on your bed and maybe having some ambient music and like just letting yourself, your mind, your thoughts just roll and process through things and integrate all of the different things that you're considering and that you're thinking about, right? Like, to actually consider these things and to have the space for that. You know, it's like we don't get the downloads that we need. If we don't have space and create space for those things to come in, we're constantly thinking and doing and processing and all the things, and we don't pause, we don't get to have the insights come through, have the inspiration come through, and we need to make space for that. And so I feel like this is a super powerful, very, very clear reading for you, Sagittarius. If you want to get more of a sense of how this has been progressing, I would say take a look at the moon readings that I did at the end of the month in March, which are on their own playlist on my channel. I will have, after these come out a few days after this, about a week or ish, I'll have the next moon phases up, so you can kind of like watch the progression. So definitely hit the notification bell and the subscribe, button, so that you can be aware of when the new videos come out. And also, yeah, like I was saying at the beginning, if this is your sun sign, watch your rising sign or vice versa, to kind of get maybe like to get a feel for things. Definitely, if you want to specifically know and like dive in to like get specific and very granular, like I do in my readings, like for you, then I would say book a reading. That information's down below, 30, 60, 90-minute readings for you to check out. So either way, I hope that this was insightful. I hope it gave you some messages and it gives you some clarity and helps you along the way. And I'll see you in the next video. Bye.